I am a project manager. At the same time, I was a Scrum Master, but I still manage some of the Scrum components currently in my team. I have been a trainer for quite a long time. I have trained multiple people across different continents. I've trained people across US, Europe. I've also trained people in Southeast Asia, such as Philippines, etc. Yeah, so I'm gonna choose a very specific component in terms of Scrum. This is called a Scrum team. Now that I'm discussing Scrum team, I believe you already know what Scrum is. But let me give you an introduction to what Scrum team is and what does this do in terms of entire Scrum Master journey. Okay, so yeah, Scrum team is usually a team of people which will actually do the delivery, which is nothing but the development. Usually in the IT circle, you will hear more about Scrum teams, but the Scrum principle has also been used across different domains such as real estate, such as technical, challenges, or there are various areas in which Scrum is nowadays used. So you'll see this more often rather not early. Okay, so talking about Scrum team, usually it's a team of 5 to 10 members. Scrum, in terms of Agile, believe in smaller teams. They don't believe in team which consist of 50, 100 members. The team has to be small. Recommended number is 8, but any number between 5 and 10 will be good. So in case if you are implementing Agile in your industry or in your team, you have to ensure that the team consists of only 5 to 10 members and not more than that. This is to ensure that the delivery is in place and all the task has been assigned to the entire team members properly. It also ensures that the task or the area of work is limited and not multi, just to ensure that the agile is delivered on time. And it has to be a cross functional. You can't have like 5 to 10 developers working on it. You would need QA, you will need programmers, you will need front end developers, you will need some scrum master as well to manage the entire team. So this includes a cross functional team. Members should be full time. Of course, you don't need people who are on contract temporary basis who are just working on part time. You can't include them in Scrum team because you would be doing something called a Scrum planning, in which the tasks are distributed. And if you have a part time member, it becomes really difficult to distribute those tasks in the entire team, because usually you hire a part time member uh, to define certain area of work in which this doesn't happen. The team has some self-organizing. So owners of the team lies within themselves. This is a very accountability team. The Scrum Master has to ensure that everyone in the team is accountable. This goes through various training. The Scrum Master has to ensure that everyone understands what the area of delivery is and how exactly they are going to deliver. So this also consists of that. Um, so there are no titles as such. Everyone is a team, and it follows something called a servant leadership, wherein the Scrum Master or any tech lead will act as a servant for the other team members, extending all help possible, making sure that everyone gets enough and ample amount of help to get through that task. So this is what self-organizing is known as in Scrum team. And membership can change only between sprint. That means your developer can act as a front end developer sometimes, so we can switch the roles whenever possible. This is again a very good positive when it comes to scrum team. If you have a member of like 15 or 20 team members, it becomes very difficult. And over the years, people have defined what an ideal team member size should be. And when people talk about agile, when people talk about safe agile, people recommend any number between 5 and 10. Even my current company, I do have a capacity of 8 people. So that's what my team is about. Um, yeah, this is what about Scrum team. These are some of the ceremonies that usually happen in Scrum. Sprint planning, you have sprint, you have daily Scrum, which is also called a DSM. Okay, so let me give you some history about these terms and why exactly they have been used. Let me also tell you how exactly it used to happen previously. And when you bring Agile, when you bring Scrum into any team, what are the benefits and why exactly this has been distributed this way? So previously, when Agile and Scrum were not used to follow, people used to be very streamlined. I mean, it did not had a lot of scope for changes, and when there's no scope for changes, there's a lot of chaos. So previously, when people used to manage teams, there used to be a lot of chaos. There used to be a lot of difficulties in terms of task planning, in terms of task distribution and completion. In order to overcome all those challenges, Agile Scrum has brought these four ceremonies, which ideally gives lot of importance to meetings. It gives a lot of importance to team particularly, rather than the task, or rather than those things. So first ceremony that you see is sprint planning meeting. Okay, I'll just tell you what this is in the short. In a sprint planning meeting, you have something called as a product owner who owns the entire project. He has certain deliverables, he has certain tasks which needs to be delivered to his client. So what the product owner does is he defines what are those tasks. He defines which tasks are important. So he's going to prioritize some of the tasks which he thinks needs to be delivered quickly, and he's going to define how those tasks should be delivered. So of course there is something called as acceptable criteria. So it's going to define that as well, and he's also gonna define done criteria. So product owner defines all those things. He knows how the software should look like, he knows how the software should function. So it's gonna define all those things. And in sprint planning meeting, the product owner will talk about those tasks. He will define those tasks. He will clear all the doubts with the members, etc. And the Scrum Master will also be available in this meeting, who will carefully listen to this task, understand what this task is about, make sure that the team members understand the task, and just in case if there's any communication gap, the Scrum Master is responsible to bridge that gap between product owner and the team members. So once you do that, okay, in planning meeting, suppose you have 7 members, so you distribute those tasks among 7 members. There is something called as story points. There's something called as capacity planner. Based on that, you distribute this task. I'll talk about those terms later. Based on that, you talk about this task. You assign this task, and you ensure this task gets completed before the sprint review meeting. Okay. So the second term that you hear is sprint. Sprint is nothing but the duration of the plan. So usually sprint is for 2 weeks. Somewhere it's 1 week, somewhere it's 3 weeks. 2 weeks is very ideal. So in sprint planning meeting, you have a 2 week sprint in which you will distribute 10 tasks among 7 members. They will tell you how much time it will take for them to complete those tasks. So based on that, you can assign more tasks or reduce the number of tasks. But here we define how much work that any person will do. And once it's defined, it's like locked. That's what the planning is all about. Suppose one member gets 3 tasks in 2 weeks, he has to ensure it gets completed in 2 weeks. Of course, there are exceptions which we can talk about later, but the entire reason why do sprint planning meeting is because to set some goals for the entire team, which is of course important in modern days, and to ensure everything is delivered. And I spoke about sprint. It is of 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, the team has to complete those tasks. So this is called a sprint. We run sprint for 2 weeks. At the start of the sprint, we have sprint planning meeting. The third term you see is daily scrum. Daily scrum is what happens at the start of the meeting. At the start of the meeting, like at the start of the day, every team member gathers. They talk about what are the things that they have completed last day, what are the things they are working on today, and is there any blocker, anything that the team can help with. The daily scrum has been monitored by Scrum Master. He is the one who hosts this. He is the one who ensures that the team is on track. If anyone is flaunting anywhere, Scrum Master has to pitch in, intervene, and help. So that's daily scrum. And the last one is sprint review meeting. It happens at the end of the sprint. So by the end of the 2 weeks, you will have the sprint review meeting in which the team has to present what work they have completed, and they have to present that work to the product owner. Then the product owner will say whether the work has been completed or are there any changes that are needed. So that exactly what's happened in sprint review meeting. It's a very important ceremony in Scrum because this is where your work gets contributed. This is where your work gets evaluated, and based on sprint review meeting, your next sprint work also gets hampered, or it gets moved on accordingly. So these are the four ceremonies that actually happen in Scrum. I have defined this in a very short term. I would like to explain more. We could do some examples. We could also um, we could do some practical examples within the team to understand each and every pointer better. There are a lot of terms missing, such as over planning, etc., which is also related to all those four terms. But those are like bigger topics which we would like to discuss further. So this is all about ceremonies so far. Any question that you have that you'd like to discuss?